Hello everyone, welcome to Ed Yourself. In this video, we are going to see how to create a workflow in the JIRA cloud environment. Alright, we do have one of the basic workflow where we can see only 3 statuses in the transitions, right? And just in case if anybody is still not aware of what is a workflow status and what is a transition, I recommend you to go back to one of the video that talks about what is a workflow. So it is always important to know about the basic terminology before we know something much more about that particular topic, right? So if you are really good about understanding the statuses and the transitions, then this would be the right video for you to watch. So let's navigate to JIRA and let's see how to create a workflow, a custom workflow in the global level. And who will be creating the workflows in JIRA? It will be the JIRA admins, right? Sorry for the late. So this is one of the video that we have taken lastly, understanding the workflows, right? So as part of this video, I would like to create a new workflow in the global level. And then I will be taking another video that would be our next video where we are talking about mapping the newly created workflow in the global level workflow scheme page. So do not miss. Now forget about where we are. We are going to see how to create a workflow in JIRA. So in order to create a custom workflow in JIRA, everybody, other person that is creating should have the JIRA admin rights. So once you have the JIRA admin rights, you can navigate to the issues, and then if we scroll down a little bit, I can see the workflow heading, right? Where we can click on the workflows. We can see all the workflows that are created in JIRA, and we can see in which projects that these workflows are included, and also we can see to which workflow schemes that are mapped to it. Only when the workflow has been mapped to the workflow scheme, we can call them as active. If the workflow is not mapped to the project or to the workflow scheme, it will be fall into the inactive workflow, which means whatever the workflow that we are going to create, basically at the beginning it will go and fall in the inactive workflow. So once by making an use of the workflow scheme, if we map the workflow, it will be in the active state. So just keep that in mind. So now as part of this video, we are going to create a workflow. So by clicking on the add workflow, we have two options where we can import the workflows from the Atlassian marketplace, or where we can create the new from the scratch. So let's click on create new workflow, and before we create the workflow, we have to give a name. Now since we would like to create the workflow in the Scrum project, and for the bug issue type as we discussed in the last video, I'm giving the name accordingly. So please continue to watch the videos in sequence so that you will be having a clear picture of why we are giving the names in this way. SP stands for the project key of the Scrum project. Bug is the name of the issue type. Since we are creating a workflow, we have mentioned the word workflow. So let's click on add. Now as we can see, since we did not map this workflow to a project or maybe to a workflow scheme, it is by default in the inactive status. So as soon as we entered into the workflow page where we can see diagram mode, also we can see text mode. So we can see by default there is a status called open. If we want to add a new step or a status, we can add. But it is always good for a beginner to start with the diagram mode where you can clearly understand how to create a workflow. Alright, by default when we start to create a workflow, it has given when the issue has been created to which state the workflow should be in. By default it is open. Now I want to navigate to my requirement. I want to design this particular workflow, very basic one. Now by default whenever the issue gets created, it will be in open, right, as part of this diagram. And when we have a look in the JIRA, already this particular step has been completed. And now we have to create two different statuses. One is in progress and one is done. And then we have to even add the directions. We can call it as transitions. From open to in progress, we have to add one transition, and from in progress to done, we have to add the second transition. So let's quickly navigate to the workflow in the JIRA. Let's add two statuses and then let's add two transitions. Step number 1, we have to add a status called in progress. Since in progress is already been listed in JIRA, we were able to pull up that result, and just in case if I want to create a new status, I can directly type the entire name of the status and I can click new status, so that even the name that we have entered, maybe INPR, will also become the status in JIRA. Now as part of the requirement, let's choose in progress. If we want to mention the global transition onto the in progress status, we can click the checkbox. But we do not want, right? We clearly see that we want to have a dedicated transition from open to in progress. So it is not the right thing for us to checkbox this particular option. So without checkboxing, we are going to click on add. As I can see, a new status has been created. Either we can add the transition from now, or maybe if we have so many statuses that needs to be created, in order to add the transitions in between, directly we can complete creating the statuses at first, and then at end we can add the transition directions. That would be much easier. It completely varies from individual to individual on how you would configure your workflow. So let me add the done status as well. By clicking on the done, by clicking on the add, we will be able to even create the done status. Alright, now coming back to the requirement. Now we have open, we do have in progress, we do have done. Now all we have to do is to add these two transitions, right? So it's very easy. From open, if I click the left mouse, I will be able to drag the transition. So all we have to do is to map it to in progress, so that the transition box will open. It will say, alright, it is a new transition, and you have marked the transition from the status open to in progress. That is good. Now what would be the transition name that you would like to give? Now it completely depends. As a JIRA admin, we will give the transition name as we receive from one of the project lead. And just in case if we do not receive the transition name, always remember to give the to status name even to the transition. That would be really good. And then we have to click on add. Now as we can see, there is a transition from open to in progress, and the transition name is going to be in progress. In the same way, from in progress to done, I want to add a transition, and the transition name is going to be done. Whatever that we see in the to status, that would be easy for us to identify. As we can see, we have created a workflow in JIRA. The workflow creation is very simple, and all we have to do is to map the workflow to the project. And by the way, since we did not map it to the project, since we did not even map it to a workflow scheme, the workflow will remain in inactive status. Remember the word SP bug workflow. Let me take the copy and let me navigate to the workflows in the global level. If I search for it in the active workflow, I will not be able to see it. If I go to inactive, I will be able to see the name of the workflow that we have created. So do not miss to watch the next video, where we are going to learn about workflow schemes page, and there we will be able to see how in a Scrum project that we are going to map the SP bug workflow to the bug issue type. So if you find this video helpful, and if you even like to invite your friends to grab the knowledge on, please ask them to like the videos and ask them to watch the videos. And you do not forget to subscribe to the channel to get many more good videos. And I see you all in the upcoming video shortly. Thank you for watching.